I've got a quick market story for you. I see buyers out there negotiating on house prices and getting seller concessions, seller paid closing costs. Excited to share that. Our main topic of conversation is 3-2-1 rate buy downs with Mike Boyle. We had a guest on the show. Mike and I had an amazing conversation. He's getting clients under 4% interest rates on his 3-2-1 buy down. How does that actually work? I had that question. He gave us the answers. You guys, we're going to end the show talking about a little tool I've been using called Trello. Welcome to the Midwest Investor Report. Welcome to the Midwest Investor Report. We're glad you're back. You guys know the drill. I'm Kyle Riedstrom, your host, been in the real estate world in Fargo, Moorhead, West Fargo for many years now. And I have this show to teach you about the market you live in. We call it the Midwest Investor Report. Definitely subscribe to our YouTube channel if you don't, so you can get the episodes, you can get the extra videos we're putting out there. And if you're not on our newsletter, the Midwest Investor Report newsletter, hit the button in the show notes and subscribe. We want you on there for all the content we're putting out. You guys, I want to get into it. A little market minute. You guys, it's from a story. We have a lot of buyers we work with at Midwest Invest Realty Group. Our team and I, we're working with buyers. We're out showing properties, you guys, and properties days on market is climbing up. We are starting to look at properties that aren't on the market for the first time. Like this week, they're not fresh. We're starting to look at properties that are on the market for 14 days, 25 days, 35 days. And what happens when you look at properties that are on the market that long? Sometimes there's a price reduction. Sometimes there's not a lot of activity happening on those properties. So what does that mean? Our buyers are offering less than asking price. Our buyers are asking for closing costs to be paid by the seller. $5,000 paid by the seller. $10,000 paid by the seller. Usually you can get up to 3% of your closing costs, 3% of the price towards your closing costs. Okay. And it's really fun because we're going to have a conversation with Mike Boyle about how to use some of those closing costs if you're negotiating to your advantage to crank down your interest rate, to crank down your monthly payment. So you guys, I needed to tell the story. We were down in Horace. We were looking at property. It was actually newer, less than 5 years old, and we were able to knock the price down by $10,000 and get seller concessions paid. We actually also asked for a deck to be installed. You guys, we're putting together lists of things we're asking sellers, and not every seller is going to say yes, and there's definitely counteroffers that can happen, but we're starting to see some really cool buyer advantage in this market. And you should know about that because the minute the interest rates pump down, this market might go into another frenzy. And that's what we've seen in the past. And so all this timing of the market and when's the right time to buy, you guys, buyers are winning right now. And that's kind of fun because there's been many years where they haven't been. And so that's my market minute. Guys, I want to save most of the episode to get into my conversation with Mike Boyle about the 3-2-1 buy down loan strategy, really, instead of a product. It's a real cool strategy to get a lower interest rate, lower monthly payment. I want to get right into it. Here's my conversation with Mike Boyle. All right. Welcome to the show, Midwest Investor Report. We're glad to have you. I have my friend, Mike Boyle with Canopy Mortgage on the show today. Mike, we're so glad to have you, man.
Appreciate you having me, man. It's been a long time coming, and I'm glad to be here.
Mike's more than just a mortgage officer, you guys. He used to be a professional basketball player, number 2 in your program, number 1 in your hearts, Mike Boyle. What number were you actually in basketball, Mike? I shouldn't say 2.
I ran number 20 a lot. I bounced
2-0 in the program.
Yeah. I was 24 before Kobe was, though, too. So I was back in high school. I ran 24 because I'm a big Griffey guy. So, the best athlete of all time.
Attaboy. I love it. Okay. Well, Mike, I really value as a person. You're an authentic person that I like to just talk to about life and everything else. But the cool part is you're in this industry of real estate because you're all about mortgages. So I want to just give the audience a baseline on your like experience, how you got into mortgage, why you're in mortgage, what you're seeing in mortgage. I know that's loaded up, but I just want to give a segue into your journey, and then I want to bust down some topics I'm really excited to talk to you about today. So
yeah, no, I appreciate it. Yeah, my journey is not, it's not the same clean road that a lot of folks had, like, hey, we went to college and got into finance and all that kind of stuff. Mine was more out of, I saw an opportunity with my skill set, being able to connect with people and then being able to serve people in that manner. Because I was a garbage man for 10 years before getting into mortgages. So I was a garbage man during the day, and then night and evenings and weekends, I played basketball up and down West Coast in Canada. It was just something I did, and then met my wife, and we got pregnant with our first child, Tate. And then it was like, hey, I got to do something else. Yeah, we just kind of transitioned after our second kid came around. And that's when one of my best friends got me involved in mortgage business. And then I kind of just evolved out of that. When you get brought into the mortgage world, you're taught to, hey, go find this many real estate agents and get one client from them and do loans. Just learn how to do loans. And then I kind of looked at it a little different. I didn't feel like I could serve my clients the best way in that space. So we created what is a micro team in the mortgage world, very similar to what the real estate side does, to where I can stay top of mind and serve my folks, but still understand mortgages and being able to help them walk through that portion of their journey.
Yeah, man, I think you just you said the reason why I like talking to you. I like talking to people that view your business like you, because I preach heavy on everybody I'm talking to about real estate that this process of buying a house or refinancing one of the biggest assets in your world is way smoother and more calm and peaceful and less chaotic when you have an amazing mortgage lender and a loan professional, and when you have an amazing real estate professional. When those two people are working, in congruence, that can be such a cool thing. Which the quote at the closing table at that is like, that wasn't as painful as I was told it was going to be.
Right.
That's like word music to our ears, right, Mike? Like that's the key about mortgage.
Well, yeah, 100%. I mean, I look at it like a relationship, right? When you're going through things, especially like on the mortgage and real estate side, you're dating each other, right? You're trying to figure out if you can work together. And then when the process goes really smooth, it's like you are married to that other side, right? Like me and you have to be on the same page to make that consumer feel really, really coddled and taken care of, right? Because we're working with multiple people, but I want Bob, the buyer, to feel like we're only working with him. And he wants to feel that too, because this is it can be stressful. It's the biggest debt that you're ever going to take out typically. And if you can make that smooth and fun and just kind of calm the pressures down, then kudos to us, right? We did our job correctly.
Yeah, when you realize it's more of a human business, a customer service business, than it is actually tactics, X's and O's, man. And the counter side of that, you guys, is everybody's pointing fingers. We also see that in our industry where everybody's blaming that person and that person. Why did we miss closing date? And it's that person's fault. And who didn't answer this email? And that's just not real life. That's business world. But real world is when humans are working together to get this done for you, the consumer. And a lot of you that might be listening aren't in this every day. You're not doing a real estate transaction multiple times a week. You're doing it like once every 5 years.
Right.
And so when we're doing that weekly, we see the good and the bad. And I like to say, like, guys like Mike have found out the way that this works really well. And it's when you really treat this person with a high level of customer service and care, and eventually form relationships. How many of your clients you become friends with at the end of the day? That's the fun part of this.
Yeah, I had a lady out in West Fargo. She moved from GF out to West Fargo a month ago, and there was a lot next to her. She moved to Fargo to be close to her grandchildren. She has 8. She said, "Hey, Mike, there's a lot right next to us. You and Amy can move out, and then we'll add 3 more kids to our tree." She said she wanted to cook me dinner 1 time a week if we move next to her. But those are the big ones. Like those are the fun transactions to where you're getting on that level of, hey, she's opening up to us. I'm opening up to them. They know my kids' names. I know that their 8 grandkids are about to go crash their house, that first weekend when they move in and trying to unload their boxes, right? Like that's the fun stuff and the special stuff. And that's what makes us, wake up every day. It's like, it's something new every single day, but we get to be a piece of that person's chapter, right? In that book for them.
Man, I like that. I'm thankful you shared that story, dude. That is the fun part about this. But here's the cool part too. Mike has a very tactical approach to his business. And I really wanted to bring Mike on the show today to talk about what's called a rate buy down, a 3-2-1 buy down, a 2-1 buy down. You guys have maybe heard these terms. Maybe you had somebody say that term. You're like, I don't even know what that means. I don't even really know what it means. I'm in the real estate world until I had a meeting with Mike and he started to break this down. Because my baseline, and then Mike, I want you to correct me on this. Everybody's focused on the interest rate. Everybody's like, oh, they were over 7. Oh, now they're under 7. And Mike's over here saying, you guys want a 4% rate?
Mm-hmm.
You guys want a 4.99?
Yep.
There's ways mortgage companies are putting packages together for clients to achieve lower interest rates that I don't think people are talking about enough. And I want to talk to Mike about this. So, Mike, give me the baseline on what you're seeing and how we can really break this into digestible parts for people that aren't familiar with it.
Yeah, for sure. I think let's start on the real estate side. If you have a listing and your listing is sitting for a little while, typically you need to be in good order with the buy side, right? When you're doing that, or like you want to have good communication and you're wanting to win for both sides. So if I'm looking at this from the listing side and the buy side, I'm either going to have to drop my price or buyers coming in and asking for seller concessions. Basic stuff that's happening right now. Yep. And it hasn't happened since 2019, right? Like we're seeing concessions that we haven't seen in multiple years. But now it's working together. And what's best for that buyer coming into this house, knowing that the rates are higher? Well, the best thing is not to drop the price. It's to do what Kyle just mentioned. And let's use that seller concession money to do what is called a temporary buy down. So if I lock my rate, let's just, no credit scores, nothing we're not talking about. Let's just strictly talk about a 6.99 rate today. Okay. If I lock in at 6.99 on a 30-year loan, but I get money from the seller, I can use that to temporarily buy down my rate. Like you mentioned, there's 3-2-1, 2-1. The main one that we see right now is probably the 2-1 buy down. So if I'm locking in at 6.99, the first year payment will be based off of a 4.99. It's 2% lower.
That's right? The 2 part. It's actually giving that first 12 months, you get a 2% discount. So now your interest rate is 4.99, 5% for that first year.
I mean, let's say it's a $340,000 house at a 6.99. Estimating taxes, you're probably looking, I don't know, $2,400, right? We're talking tangible money at a 6.99.
Yep.
If you drop that down 2%, I would say you are, I don't know, probably $350 less.
Yeah.
Right. Just from going to 4.99. So that is a very tangible thing to that buyer. And you as the listing agent and as the seller, you are helping that buyer move into this home that you lived in. You want somebody really awesome to move in the home that you sell, right? Mm-hmm. You want them to carry on the tradition that you've kept in that house. Well, now you're helping that person and saving them $350 for the first year every month, just from giving the concession.
And I just did the math. I had a little mortgage calculator on my phone. 350 if you did 10% down, the difference of two is actually closer to $400 a month.
Right.
That's almost $5,000 a year that you'd save in that first year.
And then cut that in half for the second year, right? So we just did the 2, and now we have the 1. So in year or months 10 or what was it, 13 through 24, year 2.
Yep.
Cut that in half. Instead of having the 350 to 400, now we're talking $200. If we're at 400 savings, now we're at $200 savings for year 2. If you don't refinance, which, mind you can refinance within this.
Yes.
So if these Fed cuts happen, which they're supposed to, and these rates come down and it gets below that, what would it be, 599 in year 2? Because we're locked at 699. Year 2 would be a 599. If the rates got lower than the 599, then why would you stay in the 599?
Yeah.
You would refinance and lock in for 30 years.
This is why I'm getting really excited to explain this to people like you just did, because you guys, this is functionally buying time in a market that's, up, down, here or there. We have multiple offers on the right houses, but other houses are sitting right now with this high interest rate environment market. Buying time is not a bad idea. You're telling me if I can grow into my interest rate that I don't think that's an advantage. Now here's the thing. Everybody's thinking, well, something's got to give, right? Mike said it very clearly. If you in a market where a house is sitting for 35 days and you're able to come in and say, yeah, I'll give you $350, but I want $12,000 in seller paid closing costs, which is happening, by the way. We're getting those concessions in the market right now for clients. You can use that money to pay for this loan option. Yep. And now all of a sudden, my first 12 months, my payment went on my calculator from $3,040 a month to $2,677.
Yeah.
Now my payment. Now the other thing I always want to express to clients is, and Mike's going to do this as he's running numbers. We want to always make sure we can afford that $699 payment. That's the one you're qualifying for. But what do we get? We get this time. I've just bought myself 2 years of a new president coming into office. The market changes. Interest rates are pumping up and down. And all of a sudden, Mike, interest just hit 5.25. Let's do a refinance, right? And guess what? I didn't even end up paying my 6.9. That's a real scenario. Yeah. And we just did the 2.1, Mike. I mean, the 3.2.1 is the similar option, right, Mike?
Right. If you got people putting down good money, and then you can get better concessions back from these sellers. Holy moly. You're telling me that I could lock something at a 399 today? Sign me up, right? Yeah. If I have to pay a little bit more for the house, but that concession is coming back to me where I'm locking that rate. And now I just bought myself 3 years. Most people don't even stay in their original loan for 3 years.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. Typical turn times are 3 to 5 years. Somebody's refinancing on these on your original loan. And especially with the high rate market, we're talking probably 18 months is probably a better turn time.
And I mean, I love the appreciation that happens in that time in our market too, because, if we're at 350 in our market, in those areas that are 350, we're generally seeing, 4% is conservative for those markets. And just at 4%, your value moved from 350 to 364 to 379 to 394. You just got 44,000, Mike, in appreciation in those 3 years. And now you're finally paying the prime rate that you locked into.
And the caveat on that, you did nothing to the house. You lived in the home.
You lived in the home.
Instead of you paying rent to somebody for that same amount.
So, I mean, that's so cool, man. And by the way, like you said, in year 2.5, the rates pumped down, and I locked in at 699. You can refinance. Yeah. Yep.
Never touching that 699.
And so here's the thing. I'm always cost sensitive. You guys, by offering this product, need to take on those, you take that as a fee to offer this, right? Like that. And what's like an expectation for this? If I get that $12,000 concession from the seller, we negotiated that. What's that look like for you guys? Like, how much am I paying towards the lock? And I still have closing costs and stuff, right, Mike?
Yeah, so that's actually the beauty of this product. It is just like a fixed rate loan because it's not an adjustable rate, right? There's no origination fees, there's no nothing on this. It is a basic loan. And the caveat is actually you're using the seller's money to pay your difference each month. That's why we have to get the seller concession because now that
Yeah.
money sits in the escrow account. Let's say you refinance at that 2 year mark and there's
Ah,
money
I
left
get it.
over. Now that seller money that's in the escrow account comes off of your balance. This didn't cost you anything extra, and that's what makes it
Gotcha.
such an incredible product. There's
Okay.
no
So
lock. You're doing 30-day locks. It's the same thing. It's the same as if you were doing an FHA loan and looking at it.
this is
Yeah,
a
it's
this is much more of a strategy than a product, is what I'm understanding.
mhm,
This is a
mhm,
strategy where you're negotiating with your real estate professional to get the money to create more lifestyle for you with your monthly payment as you grow into a house. And I'm all
right,
for that. I think that's so
100%.
smart. I think that's so smart to manage your monthly expenses really well, steward them well, and give yourself that run. Because, like we just said, if you go get a $12,000 concession, your interest rate starts down at 399. You kidding me?
Hmm.
And now I'm in an asset that's going to
Yeah,
appreciate from 350 to 394 conservatively. I think it's fun. It's good to open our eyes to the ways that mortgage professionals like yourselves are creating wins in a different style market than we've seen.
and I want to reiterate something you said too, because you said the appreciation on that house was at 4%. That was the math that you just did, correct? Year over year. That's on the low end.
Yeah,
Remember what happened last time there was an election in the appreciation values? Like, holy moly, like on the West Coast, you had appreciation values up in like the 28% year over
yeah,
year. Like people were making hand over fist just from
yeah,
living in a home because inventory levels are not changing that drastically, right? And when these
yeah.
rates
That's
do
right.
come down, we're going to have
Oh
a
man,
flood of all the buyers that have been
you
priced out.
guys, I gotta tell you, when these rates come down, your buyers that are looking at 10 homes and picking out which two they like, that's going to be gone again. We're going to get
Hmm.
back to that market where every house that hits the market is sold within a day. And it's really frustrating for buyers, especially underneath 300, 350 price
Yeah,
point. Yeah,
yeah.
so I want you to look at this market as a buyer as like, this is not going to last forever. This
Hmm.
is an amazing time for you to go get something that is still growing in value, but you able to negotiate on price, negotiate on those seller pays, get into a payment product and strategy like we're talking about here.
Yeah.
And I just love the strategy behind real estate, even if it's investing. I love this strategy, which is in just primary residence. You
Hmm.
know, what a great eye opener, Mike. What are we missing about this that we else? What else do we need to know on these on this type of deal? Like,
I don't know if
what
we're
about
missing.
qualifications or
Yeah,
anything like
I don't know
that
if
I
we're
need?
missing anything. The nice part about this product too is like VA buyers can do it, FHA
Mm,
buyers can do it. It's not just for conventional loans. So we're talking, you probably want to have 620 to 640 credit at least.
yep.
Obviously better pricing for interest rates as your credit goes up, right? For the consumer that doesn't know, if we're above 700, then we're going every 20 points, your pricing gets better when it comes to pricing for rates. So 700 to 720 to 740, 760. Once you're above 760, you're pretty much capped. But every 20 points on your credit score is just better pricing for you. Every 5% down gives you better pricing because if you don't put 20% down, you have mortgage insurance tied to it, right? So if I
Yes.
go 5%, versus 10%. Well, now my pricing just got better. Mortgage insurance became cheaper. Go to 15%. There's different ways to manage it. If you are a great client, you have good conventional, you can eliminate mortgage insurance on these products, right? You
Yeah.
don't have to put 20% down. And that's just like we talked about at the very beginning. You having a team in your corner that's saying, hey, I know you want to have some money left over in the bank. Let's put 5% down and ask for this concession back
Yeah.
instead to make it so your monthly payment is where you want and your out of pocket is where you want. Those are the two biggest things that you care about. You are
Yeah.
not going to go back and look at your mortgage statement in a year or two and care what your interest rate is,
Yeah.
as long as your
It's
monthly
true.
payment doesn't change.
Correct. Your monthly is how you actually live, and that's why I like talking about that the most. And that's changes this drastically. Um, yeah, and lets you lets you grow into your career, lets your family grow into the home, lets your home grow into the area as far as appreciation goes. Man, I just think this is really foundational, and I just it's funny how often I don't see people utilizing this strategy. So super
Mm-hmm.
fun to talk to you about it, Mike. Mike, you're with Canopy Mortgage. You are licensed in more places than one. You're helping
Yes.
people in North Dakota. You're helping people in Minnesota. Tell us a little bit about Canopy and what you're doing with them, just if people haven't heard of it. You know.
Yeah, Canopy, it's a nationwide company based out of Utah. Really, really smart guys that built this company. We have our own proprietary LOS system, so that's a loan operating system. So I can do everything within my computer or on my phone. It's an awesome platform for us and for the real estate agents and for the clients because we can all live within the same hub together, and it's very transparent. Right, I can send Kyle my today's rates, and he can go out, show houses to you as a consumer, and price something out on his phone for you right there and then. And it has all your information because your profile is right there on your phone. He can log in, look at it. Hey, this is what it looks like if we were to get into this house. So he's giving you on time pricing right there and then at the house. Amazing, right? Instead
Nice.
of
That's
going
amazing.
online, looking at some teaser rate from some wholesale lender in who knows where, and that you've never talked to, right? Like it's very easy to pull up interest rates and be like, oh, well, this rate's great. Doesn't really exist unless you're putting 30% down and you have 800 credit. It's just the caveats, right? There's a lot of
Yeah.
small print. This is very transparent. It's going to pull your information through and give you transparent pricing right there and then.
Yeah.
That's just one of the many things. But yeah, I'm licensed Washington, where North Dakota, Minnesota, Indiana, Wisconsin. I love the Midwest. I love just being able to talk to folks. I get up early anyways, so it doesn't change anything for me. But just the demeanor and the thankfulness of the clientele out there, honestly, versus like the West Coast, it's completely different. Just a
Yeah.
different vibe.
Yeah, man. That's I appreciate you sharing a little bit about Canopy. For people, I think it's funny how so much in this real estate world is done via email, via phone, via calls, right? And so it's more about the person. I know you've worked with a lot of people in our community, Fargo, Moorhead, West Fargo. You've worked with a lot of people in North Dakota. If someone's looking for that refinance, if someone's looking to take the next step and they're getting pre-approvals, like how do they get a hold of you? How do they get in touch with you and go start the process?
Yeah, we can put a link in here somewhere, but I have a website. It's really easy. You would just go to my website. My contact info is on there. Phone calls. You connect with Kyle. He can connect you with me. I love talking people, person to person, belly to belly. That's amazing. Via Zoom, amazing, right? Like you don't have to leave your house. You can talk to me just like this, and it's just like we're sitting across the table from each other.
Yeah.
It doesn't change anything. I'm still going to bust my butt and work for you. The nice part is when you go to sleep at 8 o'clock, it's 6 o'clock here for me, so I'm still working, right? So it's I'm a family man. I have 3 boys and a wife that keep me on my toes, and we do a lot of sports. I'm just a regular guy, right? Like I'm your down to earth guy that loves people and just wants to serve in this manner. It's a blessing to be able to do this, blessing to be able to be a part of people's journey.
Man, Mike, thank you so much for the explanation, like actually diving into this. Thank you so much for being who you are as well. It's been great talking to you. Excited to continue to work with you, and thanks for coming on the show, man. This is
I
awesome. It's been
appreciate
a
it.
jam.
I love it. And next time some other amazing product comes up, let's do it again.
I love it. We will. All right. Thanks, Mike. See you.
Appreciate you.
All right, guys, that was an amazing conversation with Mike. Love having him on the show. Guys, quick little tidbit for the business owners out there. I just wanted to share, I'm using a tool called Trello, Trello.com. If you haven't never heard of it, it's an amazing way to organize projects going on in your life. And I don't want to get too in the weeds on Trello, but I have some different people I'm working with, some different pieces of the business that I have different assistants. I have different contractors, vendors that are working in different parts of our businesses. Trello has been a really cool visual tool to understand what tasks are recurring, what tasks are just work orders that need to get done. Have they been done? How far along are they to complete? So Trello is a really neat tool I'm using as a business owner. For anybody out there that's also in business, which a lot of you are, hey, check out Trello as a kind of a mind mapping organizational system. It's very simple that maybe could enhance your business and your workflows each week. Okay, gang, that's the show on the Midwest Investor Report. I'm so glad you tuned in again. Guys, remember, we exist to just bring you topic matter that's going to help educate you on the market you live in. Guys, until next week, this has been the Midwest Investor Report. Thanks for tuning in.